It's time to talk fantasy football. It's time to let them know. Where you let us crunch the numbers while you crush the competition. So grab your playbooks and crack a cold one, because here's your hosts, Teak and Baney.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Teak, here with Baney and Badge. And today we're talking the guys you should freeze out for Week 16, the sits. Now,
you're about to get Grinched. Hide your trees.
to get going, we still go around the horn. We're going to start with the QBs here. Badge usually goes first, or I don't know how you guys usually tango here.
You know what? It's Christmas time. I'll take it, Baney. So I can't believe it's already Christmas.
This is crazy.
Like, I'm not even near ready for it, but we wish you guys a happy holidays. So jumping into my sit, I'm sitting my boy, my deep dive. I'm ditching the scroll. I'm sitting Jordan Love against the Panthers. Some of you guys might be sitting there, but it's the Panthers. So a little surprising stat. This Panthers defense has been sneaky stingy against the fantasy quarterback this season. They're allowing 14 points to quarterbacks this year. In your fantasy playoffs, if you have Love, I'm sure you have a better option. Don't look at just, hey, it's the Carolina Panthers. They're bad. Their record stinks. Sit them. Go a different route. Again, I assure you, you probably have someone else on your roster if you have Love. I'm rolling with those numbers in both fantasy playoffs and DFS lineups. Sorry, Love. Loved you at the beginning of the year, but I hate you now. The holiday eggnog is spoiled. I'm sitting you.
I've heard a lot of love for the defensive coordinator in Carolina. As bad as things have been this year, that's the one thing that's been consistent. I have been hearing his name tossed around a lot. So that being said, I know I started Tucker Kraft, but I definitely hear your case for making a sit this week in Jordan Love, and maybe the emergence of Jones back in that fold makes them run the ball more. Who knows? But I'll ride with my boy.
Yeah, I like to sit as well. Jordan Love, man, proved a lot of us wrong, a bunch of us. And I just think the Green Bay has a great future with this guy. Do I think he's a Hall of Famer? No. I know some Green Bay fans will like to think so, but I don't think he is, but he is starting off pretty good. So, but I do like to sit against the Panthers, who have a sneaky defense. Baney?
Yeah, dude. So basically we're just going to rebrand my picks into Starts 2.0. I think you've coined that phrase before, these last 2 weeks. So, yeah, just take my advice and either fade me or not. Choice is yours. But last 2 weeks haven't been too friendly. But my Grinch picks, I'm going to call them the Grinch picks this week. Sam Howell, I think. You got to sit Sam Howell this week. I know he's had 8 top 10 finishes, 3 top 5 finishes. That being said, Jets defense, they're about as real as it gets, man. As bad as that team is, this Jets defense has just been lights out. And the team's a mess. Rivera's done after this year. Brissett actually outthrew Howell in like half a quarter. I want no part of it moving forward. I think the season's about done for Washington. And yeah, it's just going to be a tough week, I think, for Commanders players all around.
Yeah, Baney. So in the against the spread episode, I actually took the under in this game. So I completely 100% agree with you. I mean, a shout out to Sam Howell. The guy's been putting up big fantasy numbers. He's been slinging the rock. However, I don't think he's going to do much of moving the ball against this Jets defense. I know they got blown out against the Dolphins without Hill. But they don't have the run game that the Dolphins do to open up that pass. So I think Sam Howell's going to feel a lot of heat. I think he's going to get hit, bruised, battered. I agree 100% with the sit. I think this is going to be a very low-scoring game in New York, in the cold. I would sit him as well.
Yeah, he got benched for Brissett, which was like crazy to me. I don't know if it's a move that Rivera's last ditch hope to try to keep his job. I don't know, but I do recall in the beginning of the season, during the middle of the season, that players on this team were calling this guy, the franchise QB going forward. They love what they see out of the QB, and now to bench him for Brissett is kind of it's odd to me. But I like to sit as well because it's my sit, and I'm going Sam Howell as well.
Hey, Badge, real quick to touch on what you said with it being an East Coast game. Has this season felt like it's produced the most like rainy garbage games you've ever seen? Like they talked about it a little bit during the Monday night game. The Eagles have played like 8 games this year in monsoons, and I just feel like every New York game this year has been played in a monsoon as well. So getting into December, it's crappy. I don't know if you caught that same vibe or.
Yeah, a lot of bad weather. I mean, we had a delay in the Steelers games a few weeks ago. I mean, we saw what happened in Carolina in that monsoon. Philly, it seems like there's always rain. A lot of rain, not even snow. I haven't seen snow on the field yet in anywhere this year. Have you guys? I feel like the rain's harder to play in. The ball slips out of your hands, and
Yep, I agree with that.
Badge, you're doing running backs now, right?
yeah, yep, on to the running back. So I am going the Colts running backs. So it looks like Moss is out. It's going to be Jonathan Taylor. It's his first game back. I don't know what's gonna look like there. I'm going to say it again for my boy Teak. Atlanta. Well, I'll let you say it. Teak, what's the stat that we talk about?
No rushing TDs.
So Atlanta has allowed no rushing TDs to opposing running backs this year. The only team in the league to do so. Atlanta's defense very stingy towards that. Again, Taylor's coming back. Pretty sure Moss is out. That's why I put Indy's running backs. I'm not going to start him this week, especially again his first game out. You should have a better option, being that Jonathan Taylor was suspended the first or held out, or he didn't play the first 4 games. So you should have a better option in your fantasy playoffs. I'm not going against that Atlanta defense. I'm sitting you this week, Jonathan Taylor or Colts running backs.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina proved it. All you need is a kicker to beat Atlanta, apparently. I'm salty about that, but I wouldn't be surprised if their kicker outscores their running back production this week. But like you said, it's still up in the air. I know there's a bunch of question marks around Taylor and Moss, so who knows? Could be a next man up scenario, but this late in the season, you got to go with guarantees, and I don't have a whole lot of guarantees in that backfield right now.
Yeah, I like it as well. Hopefully it plays out the way you're speaking it into existence, Badge, because I know we talked about this earlier. Falcons, they went out. There's a 70% chance they make playoffs. They lose, they're definitely getting a top 10 pick. So it's the balance beam. My luck, they'll probably win half and lose half, and they won't make playoffs, and we'll have like a top 13, 14 pick.
Yeah, my future, they need to be winning, and it's just every week I'm just like, I feel like a Falcons fan. It's not fun.
It's not. It's not. You earn your stripes. But who's your running back?
Yeah, Philly, man. DeAndre Swift. I think we have to have the conversation. Is he playable in fantasy? His last 3 finishes have been the worst of the season. His play is sporadic. He's playing well if you look at, rushing attempts to yards, but they keep putting Gainwell in the mix. And yeah, I don't, he's getting no red zone opportunities. That's Jalen's world, obviously. And what scares me the most about putting him on my sits list is this should be a matchup where he smashes. He should absolutely go off against the Giants this week. However, fantasy football playoffs, there's so much inconsistency here. I can't stamp my name on DeAndre Swift in fantasy playoffs right now. He'll probably give you 13 carries for 65 yards, 2 catches for 10 yards, and you're going to stare at an 8-point performance. And that's just not going to cut it right now. So unfortunately, I got to put my bird gang on the list. So
Yeah, it's always tough. I mean, Swift, he's had some huge games, but then he's had some bad ones. I mean, the attempts are there, but 2 words for you: tush, push. Baney's familiar with that. It seems like I've seen it go on the 5 and the 4, where most teams would hand it off. They're doing the tush push, taking the ball away from some premier backs. So unless he breaks a big one, catches some balls, I mean, the Giants could give up some big plays. Again, that goal line, it seems like the Eagles are always on that goal line, and it's always Jalen Hurts with the tush push, brotherly shove, whatever you call it. So that play has become deadly in Philly. So if you have a better option, maybe look that route.
Play became deadly in Philly, and it's deadly to the running backs in Philly because they will not sniff the end zone in the red zone.
yeah,
So, yeah, I like to sit as well. I watched that game, and Gainwell's getting more and more touches, and I don't know why.
he started the year off as RB1 for them, and then Swift took over, rightfully so, and had those monster games, and now they're just like, I don't know. Whole team looks like a mess, to be honest with you. But yeah, Swift, sit him.
But moving on here with mine, I got Brees Hall. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I know some of you viewers love that, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet for you. 5 of the 8 games scored, single-digit fantasy points. Matchup is so you can have an argument for each side, but this QB carousel is so rough. The offense is rough. I'm just not for it.
Surprised you don't want to throw in an honorary Bijan Robinson sit in this list, to be honest with you. But yeah, Brees Hall, Jets offense, want no part of it.
Yeah, I'll try not to overanalyze as well for some of you, but Brees Hall so up and down too. I mean, the only thing I can say is that quarterback situation in New York. If they're going to try to feed him the ball, I think it's going to be a cold ground and pound game, low scoring. So if he can do what he does sometimes, break the big one, that's your only hope there.
All right. Moving on to the wideouts.
So for my sit-on wide receiver, I'm going Terry McLaurin, a.k.a. Scary Terry, against the Jets. So I know the Jets just got shut out, and the Dolphins dropped 30. However, the Commanders, again, I'll mention it again, they do not have this running game that the Dolphins does. So to open this pass up, the Jets defense has that fire. They're a solid group. I feel they're pissed off. They're going to bounce back. They're going to show the world that, hey, we don't give up 30 points. So Sauce is going to lock him up. It's going to be cold. I'm looking for a low-scoring game. I'm sitting Terry McLaurin this week.
As you should. Just an overall bummer of an entire season for McLaurin. Somebody who was talked about very highly in the offseason, just hasn't really got that production that you were hoping for, and it's just tough draw this week specifically. So it's a safe sit for sure.
I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to tell you to sit Terry McLaurin for the rest of the season. Jets, San Fran, Dallas.
Yeah.
I'm good on Terry McLaurin and what that offense brings. Yeah, he had a huge week there against the Rams, but those are some very tough matchups coming forward that you need to have reliable points out there for fantasy, and he's not giving you those reliable points. Sitting at wide receiver 30.
You should have a better option.
Definitely. But Baney?
Yeah. Noah Brown. Just going against the grain right now. I know he just had a blow-up week. However, I mean, Houston struggled with this Titans team. Titans team has a heck of a worse secondary than this Browns team. Browns defense is, I mean, they've been great all year. They probably have the most players we have on the sits list have been against Browns defense. I just don't expect a repeat for Noah Brown. It looks like it's going to be Keenum again. I saw that they activated a quarterback off their practice squad, and CJ, I think, is still dealing with concussion symptoms. So Yeah, man, I don't think I like a backup quarterback versus this Browns defense. Therefore, I'm not going to like the wide receivers. Badge talked about having better options available. I saw today, for some reason, Jaden Reed is only rostered in 61% of ESPN leagues. Last 6 weeks, Jaden Reed has outproduced Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs. Those are true stats. He's had almost 97 fantasy points the last 6 weeks. If you're in one of those leagues that do not have Jaden Reed, pick him up. Pick him up, pick him up. Noah Brown, sit this week versus the Browns.
Yeah, your only hope there is just monitor that CJ Stroud injury if you have to start Noah Brown. Um, Again, the matchup is tough against the Browns defense. That secondary has been solid, bunch of big name players. Chances are, like Baney said, you probably do have a couple better options. So with Stroud dealing with the concussion and going up against this Browns defense, I mean, you probably have a better route. But if you have to start him, monitor that CJ Stroud injury throughout the week.
Yeah, I'm good on David Mills or Case Keenum, whatever one they go with here. So I agree with it.
No miracle in Minnesota this week, huh? Case Keenum.
That was crazy.
But moving on here for mine, I got DeAndre Hopkins. He has a tough matchup going against the Seattle defense. Besides that, last week he only had 21 yards. I'm a huge fan of the targets, of course, and the targets are there, but the Titans have been struggling in the passing game. So I'm fading D-Hop and the matchup in this playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this comes down to if Will Levis plays or not. I know he's got the questionable tag, the ankles. It ended up being an ankle sprain. It looked like he died on the field, but I guess it's just an ankle sprain. So that weighs heavily into this decision for me. So yeah, it's definitely a safe sit. There's a lot of uncertainty. We hate uncertainty come fantasy playoffs, but it's hard to turn away from the target share. But I agree.
Yeah, a lot of. Go ahead, Teak.
I was just going to say, hate put him on the list, but love the Oilers throwbacks.
Oh, absolutely.
Those are dope. Those are dope. Yeah, a lot of question marks with the quarterback, Will Levis. We know he likes to sling the ball. His arms looking decent, but I don't see how he plays. I mean, like Baney said, he looked like he died out there. But I guess another situation to monitor going into the playoffs, uncertainty. You need to be certain. If you have a better option, go elsewhere. I personally think it's going to be a Derrick Henry day, so I don't hate to sit. Just again, if you got to start D-Hop, monitor that Will Levis situation there, because I believe it's going to be Tannehill.
Yeah, that's what they're talking,
So,
Tannehill.
Tannehill holds the ball too much, my opinion. So I think it's going to be a Derrick Henry day to get that offense rolling.
All right, and to finish it off here with the tight ends.
So my tight end, if you were like me this season, my tight end position, I had 4 or 5 different starting tight ends. I wasn't fortunate to grab a reliable tight end. A spot start tight end has been my strategy all year. This is why I'm giving you this. If you're in my position, I'm sitting Michael Mayer against the Chiefs. So Mayer had a respectable game last week with 4 receptions and a touchdown. That's what you want out of your tight end. However, I do not think he's going to do anything against this tough Kansas City defense. They're allowing 4 points, 4 fantasy points to tight ends this year. So again, if you're like me and you got to do these spot start tight end plays in a 12-man league, that's what I've been doing all year. I'm sitting Mayer this week, and again, that's why I'm giving you that one.
Yeah. Last week, Mayer, his over on yards was the easiest prop bet I cashed. It cashed in the first drive. Appreciate you, Mayer. Appreciate the Notre Dame Fighting Irish tight end, but it's definitely going to be a sit this week. That's a tough defense, and I just want no part of that quarterback play. No thanks. So.
Yep. Michael John Mayer will be on my sit too. I want no part. No, I don't know. But yeah, I don't like the situation. Yeah, they had a huge game last week. It seemed like everybody on that offense blew up, but Kansas City's a different breed. So I like it as well.
Nice.
Andy Reid seemed to have their number too. Last time they played, they were up 14-0, came back, and I think they won by 14.
Mm-hmm. But Baney?
So I think I have the spiciest name on here. It's a weird week this week. There's a lot of really good matchups, but there's also a lot of bad matchups. 3 top tight ends play a top 9 defense versus tight end this week. So that being said, I'm just taking kind of the one that I have the biggest question mark next to, and that is Likely versus San Francisco. He's getting constant targets. He's getting the explosive plays. Most of his points these last couple of weeks have come from a deep ball. He scored, that's nice, but he has not gone up against defense with linebackers like the 49ers have, their ability to cover. That being said, like I said, there's a tough matchups this week, but I'm just picking the guy that I think is going up against one of the best defenses in football. And I mean, odds are you might have been able to pick up Likely late in the waivers, and you might have a different option. So that's my bet. I mean, you're definitely not going to sit Laporta. You're not going to sit Kittle this week, but Likely you might have some other options there, but it's slim pickings this week. Deep dives, like Mike just said, Mayer's a great sit. But yeah, that's why I took Likely this week. Something different.
Yeah, if you were fortunate to grab Likely, like I was in the waivers, I'm not in that league anymore. I got knocked out last week, but his production the last 2 games have been amazing. Again, Baney mentioned the tough San Fran defense. We all know Lamar loves his tight ends. So, I mean, if you got a better matchup elsewhere, go with it. If not, I mean, if I was still in it, I don't have a better matchup, so I would be starting him, but I'm not in it, so that's probably a reason there. But yeah, I mean, you can't argue that San Fran defense is stout. I'm excited for this game, actually.
Yeah, this is definitely be a good game to watch here. As far as the sit, yeah, it's a tough defense, but it looks like they're starting to finally work him in, which they should.
Yeah, he's a beast.
With Mark Andrews being out, especially. Zay Flowers, man, I don't know if it's just the concepts or the routes he's running where it's not to his advantage. I just think Zay Flowers can be used tremendously in this offense, just like Isaiah Likely should be. There's no reason this guy shouldn't be a double-digit score for fantasy week after week. So, but seems like it's been struggling. So, besides these past 2 weeks.
For a tight end, this guy really, I can't believe they didn't use him much when Andrews was in. This guy is fast, athletic.
I think he should be lined in the slot 100%. I think he's a great asset. I love Isaiah Likely. Like I said, I want to throw something in there going up against San Francisco. Who knows? Who knows what Lamar turns out? The targets were spread out so weirdly this week. I think, like you said, I think Zay had 1 catch. I think Odell had 1 catch. Like Bateman was like highlighted in the first drive. It was a real weird game. But who knows, man? Who knows? I started Gus. We'll see how this game works out. I'm excited. It's a primetime game.
Yeah, with both these defenses too, we could see a low-scoring battle. So.
Yeah. But to wrap it up here with my tight end, I got Darren Waller. He's too touchdown dependent for me to lean on, especially in these fantasy playoffs. I believe he had like 5 or 6 targets last week, his first game back. But it seems like with this offense, what the Giants are doing, it's heavily favored towards Barkley. And the Italian Stallion doesn't seem like he's throwing the rock a lot. So that's why I'm sitting Darren Waller.
Waller, I think, is just going to get eased in. At this point in the season, I don't even know why he's coming back, to be honest with you. They were vocal about him not getting a full workload anyway. But going up against the Eagles this week, I mean, you might want to start everybody on that offense. It feels like this defense, the floodgates are just open. But yeah, man, his workload really scares me. There's a giant question mark next to his hamstrings. I don't like it. So he's a player I chose to fade at come draft season. So come playoff season, I definitely don't want him on my team. So I definitely don't think I would start him.
Yeah, a lot of questions there, especially with the Vito likes to run. But chances are you drafted this guy early. Philly's defense has been the pass defense has been a little sus. So that's your only hope there. If you got a better option, maybe check that out. Hamstring, you could easily tweak it again. So Darren Waller, I'm in a rock and a hard place here with Darren Waller. So I wish I had more advice for you. So if you got to start him, who knows?
Hey, just for the viewers, we were talking about it. It's almost like Shefty could hear us talking. Breaking news, C.J. Stroud likely to miss second straight game versus the Browns per Adam Schefter.
Here you go.
That confirms the Noah Brown.
But that does wrap up our sits episode here. Beanie, why don't you take us out?
Guys, can't say it enough. Thank you for all your love, all your support. If you're spending your Christmas listening to us talk fantasy football, appreciate you more than you know. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Hope you guys, your plates are full. Hope you're watching football. And please hit the subscribe button. Click the bell. Make it go ding. Really helps us out. It's completely free. And if you want a new way to play fantasy football, check out the Underdog Fantasy app. Use promo code Let Them Know. Get you some free money. Minimum deposit $10 up to $100. Badge always says it. If it's free, it's me. And that's coming from your favorite Italian. So hit the subscribe button. Enjoy your holidays. Hopefully you win your second round of the playoffs. And we're talking big money next week. So happy holidays from the boys. Thank you, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Let 'Em Know Fantasy Football Podcast. Join our community and follow us on all socials or keep up with the episodes on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts.